Whoa, look at that. Yay, Sean actually uploaded a Saturday morning cartoon called the Pocket Change Market Report. This one, the final one for September 30, for the month of September, right? Pretty crazy that we just completely hammered September like you would not believe. Very active month, as I expected, as people are getting back into the hobby. They're going out there. They're doing more hunting. They're doing more searching. First day at the Sacramento Coin Show, which started at 1 o'clock, was packed. Lots of people, lots of activity. It's great to see that this hobby, even at the smaller regional shows, really hitting its stride. And that tells you a lot. The market's very healthy. People are looking to do some deals and wheels and deals and all that stuff. And a large part of that, or a part of that, I'm not going to say a large part of that, because a large part of that's, precious metals and type coins. But the overall sentiment is that people are looking for everything. All right. Even I was searching and hunting for errors and varieties at the show yesterday, and then we're going to do a part 2 again today. We're going to go back and see what else we could find, because there just simply isn't enough time to go through all the dealers. So exciting stuff, and we'll let you know what we come away with. As you know, me and my wife are in a competition, which is quite nice and quite fine. But getting back to the Pocket Change Market Report, these are some of the biggest highlights for the last day or two. All stuff coming out of your change, very important to know that there are quite a fair amount of coinage bearing the date 2022 and 2023 that you guys need to be on the lookout for, because as we're heading up to the end of the year, again, a very robust, very active market right now, and people are looking to spend some money to get coins that over the course of the last 4 or 5 months over the summer, people have forgotten about. And now they're back with a vengeance. So, yeah. And we're talking about raw, ungraded coins. If you have to grade these coins, then you're definitely doing something wrong. A lot of what you're seeing here, I would say 99.9% of the coins today in the error and variety arena does not need to be graded. It's a very expensive thing to do, and you have to wait for the coins too. So there's a lot of things that doesn't quite work out in your favor if you wanted to do that. All right, so please do keep the money in your pocket. And then finally, we certainly do have the best and worst photos today. All right, so you're going to get a wide spectrum of all the original images straight from the seller's listings. So please do keep in mind that there's certain things that probably you would have to do, and that would work out better for your listings if you took pictures a certain way. So you're gonna get some sort of photography lesson here today, and they'll kind of represent exactly what that bar is set for the secondary market, kind of doodads. So. I'm your host, Sean. Let's go ahead and jump right into this PCMR. Thank you guys again for tuning in. We're going to go as quickly and as expediently as possible here while giving you all the information. So here's a really nice Lincoln Memorial set. Struck roughly about 35-40% off center, all right? But there's no readable date, so we don't know what date it is. It does appear to be a pre-1982 copper composition coin. Which is nice, because that's generally the type of coins that people would pay a little bit more money for, even without a readable date. Now, the date is important because people do collect these by date, respective to the type of error it is. So this one right here sold for $13.98. Nothing too wild and crazy. The premium that you would pay for a coin with a readable date would be approximately 2x. All right, especially for anything pre-1982. So keep that in mind. If you have these, they're pretty neat to look at, but at the end of the day, it might do you a little bit more just to sell it and then buy another one with a full readable date on there. Next one that we have here, I was so happy to see one of these pop up. We haven't seen a really good looking 1999 wide AM Lincoln Mem hit the list here recently, and I would say it's probably been a few months over the summer. This one right here is in really nice shape. I would say probably a low end mid state grade, like a 62-ish type grade. It faces up better than it does the reverse. And this is the most valuable out of the three wide AMs, 90, 98, 99, and 2000 are the three dates. Now, the wide AM reverses are actually the proof die reverses. So the U.S. Mint actually inadvertently used the proof dies to produce these business strike coins. So there's a little bit of a design change here. And here's a little bit of a close-up. You'll notice a pretty noticeable gap between the A&M in America, which is what you're going to want to look at. The normal type will have the A&M either touching or nearly touching. And that's going to be the regular type for the state. So this one right here, no surprise, ended a very strong sale. $144.64 was the final sale price on this one. And as it should be, a lot of coins that generally exhibit some pretty nice mint red, like this one here, will typically command anything above $100, and then some that are, fairly weathered and, still look okay to some collectors. You could easily get those for about, $60 to $80. Still, not a cheap coin by any means, but definitely one that still has a lot of secondary market life left, and it will be. The overall population of really nice coins like this one is dwindling with each passing day, so definitely do keep an eye out for these. They are a pretty nice hit when you do. And just like that, we went from 0 to 60 in pretty quick succession here. 1922 Lincoln Wheat Cent, and as you guys know, they only made these at the Denver Mint. So you might get lucky, and throughout the course of your hunts, you might actually come across a plain no D mint mark 22. And this one also has the most desirable reverse die pairing with the strong reverse, as you guys know. Or maybe some of you are not aware. There are 4 different reverse dies that were used in conjunction with the obverse on this one. And the one with the strongest reverse strike, which I believe is number 3, is the most desirable, and collectors pay through the nose to own this one. So someone had thrown one of these up on our Facebook page for the live coin Q&A. And you could tell right away that it was either an altered coin, because the obverse was unbelievably clean. Like, it had the sharpest strike you've ever seen. And if you know your 1922s, they all have the crappiest obverse strike. All right, much like this one. This one looks very mushy, and that's kind of what contributed to the big reason why that a lot of these either come up with the weak Denver mint mark or none at all. There's just a lot of die deterioration in these, and clogged dies also was something that plagued these. But if you're a Lincoln Cent completionist, obviously this is a coin that's very high on the list. So even one in this condition, again, you could make the case or the argument that this one, is 100% original. It doesn't have too much distracting stuff to lead you to believe that it's a details coin. Did sell for $645.01 with 46 total bids. Again, always nice to see one of these in all of its form here. And if you come across one of these in a old Lincoln Cent album, just keep in mind that they have a little bit of value. All right, so we have a fair amount of currency this week. How about a newer colorized $10 bill? This one bearing a date 2009, but go ahead and check out that little dog-eared fold over there on the top right corner. Obviously, when these come out of a bank strap from the BEP, obviously that's going to be folded in, so you won't see the little dog ear on there. like you normally would on this one. So you can even see the presence of that fold right there. So there was just a corner fold on the subject sheet, and then it was cut while it was still folded in, thereby leading to something like this here. Pretty neat, although, this is a very small fold over type of deal. Sold for $69.88 with 4 bids. And if you do see this, do not cut it off. Do not tear it. It's worth a whole heck of a lot more. And I've heard horror stories of how these were being torn off, by merchants and things like that. And boy, oh boy, there's a lot of crying in the community because of things like that. So if you see it, leave it alone, sell it as an error, and reap the rewards. All right, this is a beautiful looking 1991 Lincoln Memorial. Obviously, the coin is much larger than what it actually is, and that's because it's a broad strike error. All contributed by a malfunctioned collar. So the collar keeps the coin in place during the striking process, and all of the metal flow stops at the collar. All right, the collar is its own separate die. It's like a large ring. So when the collar isn't engaged, an out of collar type of strike like this one will occur, all of the extra metal flow will go much further than it needs to, and then creating a coin that's probably about the size of a nickel or larger. They do get, and they do tend to get a little bit crazy in the size department here. So this one sold for $34.99. And while, we're talking about this coin, it is a copper-coated zinc, which, most mint errors of this particular planchet generation are not the most popular. But, when you have a coin that's very well centered, broad struck wise, it's still going to command, a fair amount of desirability. So, yeah, not too bad. Now, here's a coin that all of a sudden just came back from the dead. There's a few of them that sold here this week. This is the Smoking Tom Jefferson nickels, and they're all from last year. 2022 Philadelphia is the coins that you're going to search through for looking for these, and apparently they're still out there in droves. All right, these things did not go to zero as some people had prophesized. As a matter of fact, they still have a rather good market out there. As many of these that were found, they still command more than your average bear. All right, so when you look at this coin, that's what they call field restricted strike through, which is it's just a little swath of grease that was on the die, and the feeder finger makes contact with that die and it pushes around the grease. All right, so each and every single one is going to have its own unique kind of strike through event on there. There's no two that are going to be the same like shape and size, so that's something to keep in mind. This one right here is sold for $19.99. That's actually a good price point to sell these at, because if you sold it for $19.99, you could still ship it out in a plain white envelope. Of course, very safe and secure. With a 2x2 holder and maybe some index cards in there to protect it a little bit better. But yeah, I mean that's a $20 bill staring us in the face, and if you hunt a little bit more, you're going to find ones that are this nutty. Look at this thing. This is a much more advanced level of strike through. Even has the big kind of like Scarface strike through right above his left eye there. Again, I can't stress that more people are beginning to find these as people are coming back into the hunt. And this one right here, again, another solid $19.99 sale. I've seen a number of these sold by different sellers here in the last 7 days, and we have this one person that sold two of them, two polarizingly different shaped strike throughs. And by the way, this was 2 bids. I don't think it was 2 separate people bidding on it, but rather one person putting their starting bid at $19.99, and then adding in a little extra in case someone came in to snipe the deal here. So again, 2 coins, $40. Can't go wrong with that. It's like every single time you find one of these, it's a $20 bill. And, I think these days we could all use that little extra money. And of course, we still have that big Wilma Mankiller again, a big highlight coin from last year. Again, still doing rather good in today's economy. As you can see, this one has the retained cud right above Washington's head. And this one actually has the beginning stages of what that reverse cud or reverse retained cud is going to look like as that crack goes through that star right there. Very, very magical coin. These were distributed in Florida and in southern Alabama in pretty decent numbers. So there's actually a fair amount of these out there still to be found, and there's been maybe 100 of them that have sold since they were found, maybe more than that. I don't know. So this one right here sold for $265, and the seller did kick in a Indian head cent, I believe a 1909 Indian head cent or something like that, as part of the deal. And the coin, while a nice little bonus, didn't really contribute a whole lot to the actual value of the coin that sold here today. So there are a few pretty nice cud die breaks that sold here this week. We actually probably have maybe 4 or 5 of them to talk about, so that's good news for you guys. These are still being found out there in your bank rolls, if that's what you like doing. But this is a 1988 Lincoln Memorial. You can see that large cud right there on the obverse, right around 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, covering some of Liberty. This is a very strong one, and it's one that if I did find, I would never sell it because it's that special. And cuds are kind of the kings of the error world right now in terms of its marketability. The prices are just so undeniably strong right now, and I feel like that it's going to continue to get even more stronger as we go through the rest of 2023. This one right here sold for $90. All right, so you want to make sure that the corresponding weakness also shows on the reverse, all right, which is quite normal for these types. All right, so more paper money. Yeah, we did have a fair amount of paper money this week. Here's one right here that at first glance looks very minor, but I'm telling you guys, you definitely need to pay close attention to these because, you'd be surprised how often these get spent without a second look. 2003 $1 bill with a slightly shifted overprint. So your district seals and your serial numbers all shifted slightly to the left. The good marker to use on this is the green seal and where it is in relation to the word 1. Usually these are going to be perfectly centered in there, so this one slightly shifted. $30 bill sale right here, which is really nice, and it's a great magic trick when you can turn a dollar bill into 30. And there's a little bit of the reverse, showing a little bit of wear, nothing too crazy, and I would say a very nice collector grade piece. And of course, any statehood quarter error is quite desired today, as people are looking to fill in their sets for an error of every single state. Good luck with that. I hear it's one of the most challenging out there, but this is the North Carolina 2001P. Slightly broad struck, all right, a little bit off-centered there. And you can even say it's slightly off-center too. It's very small, very minimal. But this one right here is sold for $22. All right, it's a more the minor type of this event. And pretty cool one here. Yeah, this one I would assume got found really early on, and it was just holed up in someone's collection for years. Really nice fold over and print on this one. Again, subject sheet had a little bit of a corner fold on there, and then cut. Obviously it was printed over as well, which leads to a really, really awesome visual effect. And this one here is a 1981 $10 bill, and really great photography. The way that they just kind of ganged the front and back photo of the note works really well with this particular listing. $227 was the sale price on this, and yes, that is kind of the normal valuation for these type of notes. And again, ungraded. If it were graded, it would still sell for about the same amount of money. The old 10s are making a huge impact this week. 1974 $10 Fed Reserve note. at the front of the note, it doesn't look like anything crazy. Some would say, well, it's slightly miscut. Yeah, I mean, you could use that argument in there. But when we look at the back, on the left side there, you could see a solvent smear, all right, which the back was applied print-wise, and then some of the extra solvent just kind of ran there on the end of the note, thereby kind of blurring out that area. Pretty neat. You don't typically come across these that often. $129.95 was the sale price on here. Again, it's ungraded, so that's a lot to say. And there you go, another small head portrait 10. 1958 this time, so we're getting a little bit older here. Front of the note, just showing just general circulation wear. You can see a hard center fold and a couple of the quarter folds as well. You have a partial front to back wet ink transfer. All right, as you can see there, that top little black ink swath over the green of the reverse. Pretty neat. Again, this is just some residual ink that was on the impression cylinder. So the printing plates in the impression cylinder make contact without a subject sheet in there. All right, it's kind of like the equivalent to a die clash in coins. So again, another very nice one here. $199.95 was the sold price on this one. And we have another 10, 1981A. This time we're missing all of the overprint on this. Quite dramatic, and some would say that this is not cherry pickable, and I would tend to agree. People see this and automatically assume, oh, like it got bleached or something to that effect. But in reality, this is just a really stunning paper money error. When we look at the back, hey, guess what? The sheet was fed backwards into the print area, so it printed all the overprint on the back instead of on the front. So when you see this and you see no overprint on the front, turn the note over. It could be on the back. This one sold for $399.95. Just a really, really stunning error. These are kind of like the top 10% of errors that people do want, and they are not cheap at all. And here's a great little combo error with not only a pretty wacky looking gutter fold, it's kind of got that MC Escher looking George Washington flavor happening. I mean, you can just stare at the portrait and you're like, man, that's freaky. But yeah, this is like, again, another crazy, wacky, like, I cannot believe this thing even made it out into circulation type piece. Even has the corner fold over and print. I mean, this has it all. Very, very unique type piece here. And because of that, it did end up selling for 5 cents shy of $1,500. So, again, the proof is in the pudding. You don't need to grade stuff like this because they tell the story all on its own. You let the new buyer or collector of these things make that decision. There are purist collectors that don't grade, all right, and you got to admire that too because that's the old school way of the hobby, and sometimes grading is just not the necessity here. There's a little bit of the back showing more of the crazy wackiness that we're seeing here. Beautiful note, by the way. All right, 1982p, Kennedy half dollar. Great, miraculous coin. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. This one has the no FG initials reverse, and just a really stunning graded piece, or ungraded piece. But as far as grade goes, I would say this is a low-end mid-state. It's a coin with some pretty decent luster, not a whole lot of circulation wear, if any, which leads me to believe that it is indeed kind of that 61, 62 level. But due to an over-abraded die, which is over-polishing, the FG initials for Frank Gasparo are missing on the reverse of this coin. So this one right here sold for $38.97. The 82p is the most common of this anomaly. There are other dates that exist, like 71D is another big one, and a few others that are recognized. So, yeah, be on the lookout for these, and the nicer the grade, the more that these are worth. And we got another crazy one here. The likelihood you'll find this in change is simply not going to happen. Now, admittedly, funny as it seems, this coin looks like it's circulated a little bit. So, how in the world that happens is beyond me. But it's a 1998, and you can see actually a partial date there. Double struck Lincoln cent. Just a lot of that plating split to where you can see the pure silvery zinc interior of the coin. Really crazy, really wild. This one is a uniphase, so there's two planchets or two coins that were struck together, overlapping. This one sold for $84.99. So, by no surprise, very valuable piece. And we also have this one here, which is a 2023 Edith Kanaka Ole. All right, so this one, folks, we've been talking a lot about the die clashes on these, and that's not what we have here. We have this one here for a completely different reason. And if you see it already, then you'll know. This is a pretty massive die break thing right on the nose. All right, so yeah, these still exist, and no, these things did not completely go to zero like a few of the others. This is actually one of the more tougher ones that you could encounter within the American Women Quarter Series. So this one right here did sell for $15.25. And if you play your cards right, then, you can find this one here. And that's quite nice. And next one that we have here, not the pretty, I mean, this thing's gunky looking. 1942 Lincoln wheat cent with lamination right on the obverse there, as you can see. And this one sold for $13.38. So, even with a lot of issues and problems here, the coin will still have some sort of market. So, give it a try. Don't completely write it off, and you'll do okay. 1984 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Again, an error type that we're all familiar with. These are also called the prisoner cents because they have the really cool looking die clash. It looks like a multi clash on here, and this one is really cool. Yeah, it's even got some of the clashing on the reverse as well. The mint employees did not catch this one yet, and it ended up with a kind of really cool result here visually. So again, these come across a lot of dates during the series, going all the way into the newer dates like 2022, 23. This one right here sold for $27.38. Again, a very strong performing coin. As most of them are. And one of my favorite images are the ganged up photos like this. So this is a 1943S Steely, all right? And it showcases a really nice pre-cut. So it's a die crack with a little bit of a break in there that enters and exits, at two spots on the rim, all right? And as long as you can follow the crack all the way through, that's what's important. This one is actually quite strong, and this one actually sold for a lot more than I thought it would go for, at $44.99 with 20 bids. But there you go. I mean, we are in that kind of like that sweet spot of the year where collectors are opening up their wallets to be able to buy things like this. 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Again, we have a few more cuts here to kind of close out the show. This one is right over the words "We and Trust." So kind of cool. I mean, this one I've seen before. And again, it doesn't matter, if it's a much newer coin. I'm not saying that this is a much newer coin, but this is the copper-coated zinc era of Lincolns. And this one right here sold for $47 with 21 bids. So again, the CUD market is very strong right now. Now, if this one is not on your radar, I don't know what to say. I would be at a loss for words. So this is one of the biggest varieties, one of the biggest chases in the Lincoln Memorial Series, and it's a dual variety 1960D over D repunch mint mark, and it's also the small over large date. This is the FS 101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide, and the coin is actually in really nice shape here. And when we look up close, you can see the extra Denver mint mark that's punched north of the primary, not completely disconnected from the actual main mint mark, and both the small and large date elements all throughout the date here. One of the coolest varieties, bar none, in the last 100 years of Lincoln Cent production. And I've owned a few of these, and I love them. And every time I sell one, it's like, oh, I gotta buy one back because they're just that special. So this one right here in this condition sold for $65, which is it's great. That's a good amount of money for this coin in this grade right here. So be on the lookout for these. And again, if you need more clarification, you could always go on like VarietyVista.com or DoubleToDie.com or even Copper Coins' website also to look at some of the more better close-ups in this. All right, and cuts can also show up on the reverse as well on these Lincoln Memorials. Here's a 1985. You can see the cut right over the few letters in United and States. Nothing too crazy, but it's there. This one sold for $32.99 with 7 bids. And we also have this one here as well on the 69S. The cut you see is over the word America this time around. And this one, folks, actually sold for a little bit less than the one previous at $32.87 with 7 bids. And then finally, this is going to be like your low bar photo. All right, so low res images. I had to blow it up a little bit because it's really small on the actual thumbnail. But that is a 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent. It had just enough image to know that it had a pretty sizable cut die break right above Lincoln's head there. You can even see the weakness on the reverse as well in that same spot. This one sold for $51.12 with 5 bids. Again, this is about as minimal as you could get. Do not get worse than the photos that you're seeing here in this image. It's just not going to work out if it did. All right, so that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. Hopefully, the listings that we showcased here today gave you a little bit of incentive to go out there and do some hunting because, boy, it's getting really busy right now. As always, videos for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. All right, please do collect responsibly and also greed responsibly if you're going to end up doing that as well. All right, but that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for your Saturday PCMR and the last one for the month of September. October starts tomorrow, and it's going to rock out. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and this video if you haven't done so already. And I hope to see you next time. Best of luck in your hunts, and I'll see you soon.